Hey BookTube, it's Charlie from Reader Turned Writer, and today I wanted to talk about how I get out of a reading slump. So we've all been there where we just don't want to read for whatever reason and we're in a slump for reading. And when you have a BookTube channel like this, it can actually be really stressful to be in a reading slump. Especially if you have goals for yourself for how many books you want to read in a year or a month or whatever. I recently was in a reading slump last month, and I was kind of in a BookTube slump at the same time, and so it just made me kind of think about the ways that I get out of a reading slump personally. The first thing I do when I'm in a reading slump is I just accept that I'm in a reading slump. Sometimes I just need a break from reading a ton of books, or I just need to be able to say, okay, well, for a week or a couple weeks, I'm just going to, in my free time, watch TV or scroll through Facebook or just not do anything and just be okay with that. I think that's actually a really important thing to do every once in a while. Once I feel ready to get out of the reading slump, or if I feel like I just don't want to sit and watch TV anymore, or my show runs out or whatever, the first thing that I do is I start setting a small daily reading goal for myself. So usually I'll say 10 minutes of reading per day. And I'll have it on my checklist, or I have a habit tracker app. I'll link it down below. It's called Loop Habit Tracker and it's free, and I'll just set up so where it will remind me every day and I can check it off. And I usually do 10 minutes because that's long enough to get quite a few pages in a book, but it's also short enough that I will actually do it, or I could do it right before bed or something. Then I usually will start looking at different books. If I'm in a reading slump and I'm trying to get through some books, it's hard to get through those books, I'll start looking at other books to read. A lot of times I'll look at parenting books or homeschooling books or marriage books, because those are books that typically really interest me and I can get through pretty quickly. And I can usually find some free at the library or on ebook, and they usually are able to jumpstart me out of my reading slump. If that doesn't work, or if I don't really feel in the mood for that, then I will a lot of times reread old favorites, because I already know I like them, and because I already am in love with the characters, it's really easy to get into them. So some of my favorites to reread: Ella Enchanted, Harry Potter, or a Brandon Sanderson book. Those are all books that really get me just caught up in the story really quickly, and I'm able to just kind of get swept away by the book. The other thing I'll do is I'll try and find some shorter books or easier books to read, so that I can mark them off on Goodreads and in my bullet journal, because doing that usually gets me motivated to read more books so that I can mark off more. I'm kind of a list person, so that works really well for me. The one thing that I absolutely have to do if I want to get out of a reading slump is to limit some of the other things that I do in my free time. TV, Facebook, social media, things like that. I really have to limit, and this is especially true for TV, because I get kind of addicted to TV if I start watching it, especially on Netflix, because Netflix makes it so easy to like binge watch series and stuff. And so I'll really have to put limits on myself. Either I'll say I just can't watch it at all, or I can only watch it with my husband, and things like that. And that really helps me, so that in my free time I actually spend my time reading rather than going to TV or Facebook. The last thing that I do to get re-motivated to read is watching BookTube. Watching BookTube is so great for helping me feel motivated to be reading again. My husband and I have this theory that what you consume, you want to create. So let's say you're watching YouTube videos on cleaning, you're going to want to create videos on cleaning. If you're watching videos on programming, you're going to want to create content around programming, whether that's actually programming a game or creating tutorials on programming or whatever it is. And so if you want to get more excited about something, then consuming content about that makes it so that you're more motivated to go and do it. And that really works well for me with BookTube. Watching other people talk about books that they've read and gets me thinking about videos that I want to make for BookTube, and it also gets me thinking about those books and makes me just want to read more. So that's how I personally get out of my reading slumps when I do get in a reading slump. I would love to hear some of your tips for getting out of a reading slump, or what you did last time you were in a reading slump. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching my video, and I will see you in the next one.